Chapter 25. Simon buys a travel cart, and Jesus tells Simon of visiting in people's homes. Oh, look at that travel cart. The next day, I went to see Joseph and the boys at the carpentry shop. I asked them to show me some travel carts they had already finished. They had some beautiful carts, and I decided to buy one for our trip to Jerusalem this year for Passover. The one I bought wasn't very fancy. After all, we were going to be pulling it through the desert, but it would be a godsend for the trips to Jerusalem. It was just big enough for Mama, Deborah, and Mara and the children to ride when they wanted. Amos and Kobe want to walk a lot, but they complain about being tired during the journey, so this would allow them to rest and ride. We didn't have a way to pull it yet, but I seemed to always put the cart before the horse. Jesus helped me pull the new cart to the house. Along the way, we talked about life and how well his parents were doing. Jesus had such a gentle spirit about him. He just adored his parents and spoke so sweetly about them. We parked the cart in the yard outside, then we went into the house. I asked Deborah and the boys to come outside. When they saw the cart, they were a bit confused. I had to explain that this was our cart, it belonged to us now. I told Deborah that our trip to Jerusalem would be a little bit more comfortable. The boys were climbing all over the cart by now. They were so excited about having it. Amos asked if he could run and get his grandma and grandpa and bring them to see the cart. I told him he could go. Kobe was climbing on the cart the whole time Amos was gone. Even at 2 years old, Kobe was as active as his older brother. Jesus was lifting the cart up and down to joggle Kobe. Amos returned with his grandparents. Mama cried with delight and Papa shook my hand. We examined the cart all over. They were as excited about the cart as we were. They knew how much easier traveling would be now that we had it. Mama asked if I could afford it. That was just like Mama. She always worried that I would try to do too much too fast. It was my nature to want to do things fast, but she was pleased that this trip would be more comfortable. Jesus headed home. Mama insisted that we come eat supper with them at their house. She and Deborah cooked a fine meal that evening. We had fish and corn and bread. It tasted so good. It hit the spot after a long day I'd had. We talked about the cart most of the time. Papa suggested that we would now need a donkey to pull the cart. He said he would speak with Andrew about sharing that cost with him. The boys drew pictures of what they thought the donkey would look like. Then we sang for a little while before we went home. Once inside the gate, the boys wanted to climb on the cart again, but we knew we should get into bed. Inside, we went to draw a bath for the boys. The boys loved to splash around in the bath. They smelled so sweet after their bath. We all snuggled up together when they got out. There was always some tickling at night and lots of laughter. I remember that Jesus once shared with me that when he visited with people's homes and with Joseph to build a new room or repair a wall, he observed how well the family members got along with each other. He said he could determine how much love was in the home by how they spoke to one another. Some families spoke so sweetly to each other, offering help when needed. Or sometimes he would hear fathers quietly speak to their children about something the child had done wrong. It pleased Jesus to hear fathers and mothers teach their children the right things to say and do. This was, of course, their job as parents. But also, children were to respect their parents and grow up to take care of them. It's funny how the roles change once we become adults. We had so many hopes and dreams for Amos and Kobe. They were too young to know what they wanted to do when they grew up, but they were smart and bright, and we could see many, many possibilities in their future. Deborah and I discussed whether they would help me on the fishing boat or learn that occupation. We thought maybe one of them would learn a trade like carpentry or tent making. Perhaps one of them would study hard and become a doctor. Wouldn't that be something to watch them develop in their lives? Parents spend a lot of time thinking about what kind of adults their children will grow to be. Children do not realize how much their parents love them and want only the best for them as children and adults. Parents usually do their very best to provide food, clothing, and shelter for their children, but their hopes and dreams go farther than that. Basically, parents want to see their children grow up to be healthy and successful adults who love God and trust Him to guide their lives.